Hi, I'm Call. Welcome to the inaugural edition of Learn with Call. This is going to be an informal, unscripted, kind of lackadaisical version of news and information and little lessons that I want to share from time to time. I don't have a cadence. I have no guarantees of anything. This is just all according to my whim. So thank you for joining. My first one is about social media. I prepared this current events for my comparative education class last night. I wanted to share this with my peers, and so I'm going to reuse it and share it with you right now. And let's go back. Sorry, this is not. Okay. So it all starts with this. I'm not going to play the video because I'm worried that the audio won't work. But if you want to search it up, it's on France 24. You can find it on YouTube. France 24, Paris raid, police raid on Paris office of Musk's ex over child sexual deep fakes. And it basically recaps there's 7 crimes that Elon Musk and the former CEO of X, her name is Linda Yaccarino, are being charged with. They have to voluntarily come in and face um, criminal charges in April. I'm very interested to see what happens there. But ultimately, we're seeing sexualized content um, created through AI and Grok, nudes of children, Holocaust denial, a lot of pernicious, really, major malfeasance going on, enabled and empowered by X. And there's a big backlash around the world, but finally we're seeing actually world leaders take action and call tech leaders into account. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the raid of the Paris office of X happened on February 3rd. And there have been ad campaigns all around Europe. This one says, who would want to use social media with a built-in child abuse tool? Delete your X account. So we're seeing multiple fronts. The government's taking action, but I don't know who this person funding those anti-ads are. He's wearing a Doge hat too. Um, but this is happening around the world. And then if you go over to, let's see, nope, next slide. It is on the international stage, you have countries, sorry, banning social media use for teens under 15 or 16. Australia kind of came out of the gate first, and I believe they started their ban in December, and now other countries are also following suit. Um, from a variety of sources here, I have Reuters. UNICEF calls for criminalization of AI content depicting child sex abuse. There's also an Al Jazeera article, Spain versus social media giants. Reuters, India tightens grip on social media with new 3-hour takedown rule. Even Turkey, which is not exactly a democratic threshold, is edging towards curbing social media access to minors. Um, so even if America is going to be laissez-faire and let all of this rogue activity continue and harm society and harm democracy, we're seeing people outside of the United States saying, "Hey, we gotta do something about this." And we're also seeing on a local level in the United States phone bans starting in schools. So I live in New Jersey, and we just last month introduced the law. Now it's a state law that phones are not allowed in public schools. Schools that don't have lockers to store the phones now are being given funded so that students will have a place to lock up their phones. Um, and this is really from an educator and parents perspective, um, to do cognitive work and to have people be able to pay attention and to interact with each other and to sustain intellectual activity, emotional and social activity. The presence of the phone inhibits so much and is really, really counterproductive. So this is a great thing. However, it's not enough because the minute the kids leave at 3 o'clock, they're all jonesing like fiends to get their phones. So now education is also shifting the focus to teach the students about agency and literacy and to be aware of phone addiction at a minimum. I mean, at a minimum, you should be aware of how addictive it is, particularly for certain people. But also just helping them plan. This is what I'm going to do. If you think ahead and you have a plan for how you're going to spend your time, you're much less likely to pick up that phone. And I know this as an adult, but when you're young and you have very impressionable, brains, you don't know this. So this is one of the most important things for us to do for people who are in the education field to prepare our kids and the people who are going to be inheriting the earth from us, how to live a healthy life with this kind of technology out there. We're also seeing progress on the front of legislation and litigation. So, we know that the stuff is addictive. It's just the fact that science has not proven the addictive nature is just because the funding hasn't been there to fund the research because the tech companies are so almighty powerful. They do not want, it's just like big tobacco. They want to keep their business is strong. And so there's a lot of either suppression and or lack of motivation to look at this stuff critically. But it's absolutely, I have no doubt whatsoever, because I personally am addicted to social media. And we're starting to see, really serious lawsuits and pending, what is it called, penalties for these companies. They have to be sizable. Up to now, any kind of fines or things that they've had to pay is just like a drop in the bucket. We need to see some real, something that really takes a bite out. And I literally have friends who have loved ones who have had to go be checked into a mental institution from social media addiction. It's not a joke. It's a real thing. And it's just a matter of time before we start treating it as such and regulating it as such. You also hear the folks in the tech world say, well, our real audience are the people with the money, not the teens. So this is not a problem. Well, I tell you what, it is a problem. Their job is to project confidence on their earnings calls. But as a person who used to write those earnings calls, I can tell you that if your addressable audience is turning away from you and governments are banning you and the moms in the hometown America are doing self-organized groups to all band together and keep their kids off social media, there's a big movement coming. And I don't I don't know the future. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I would not be, from an investment standpoint, I would not be satisfied with the people with the money, because I've seen it evaporate, and I've seen social changes happen, and companies that seemed, on top of the world, 10 years later, are not, they're gone or they're subsumed into something else. So, it's definitely going to hurt them. And I think the question is how soon and whether these companies will be able to pivot to, alternative revenue sources. It's also why so many are just hyping AI, because they need to find some greenfield. They need to find other growth areas. I just want to point out the last part of the paradox here is that social media is global, right? So we all share the same apps. Education is local. Each country controls its schools. The platforms are controlled by American companies, and European governments are banning tech that they don't actually control, which is tough. But I think we're seeing, this new world order taking shape, where people are realizing we can't just count on America anymore. And there's a diversification happening, which I think was probably overdue. Okay, so that's all I've got for today. I hope this has been useful. Give me some feedback. Let me know if there's any topics you'd like to see me cover. Give me a shout and let me know. Thank you for joining the first Learn with Call.